Good morning. Today we continue with Genesis chapter 35, verses 16 through 29. And as always, I encourage you to read this passage personally because it shows us both sorrow and transition, yet also the steady faithfulness of God through it all. In verses 16 through 18, as Jacob and his family journey from Bethel, Rachel goes into hard labor and gives birth to a son. And as she's dying, she names him Benoni, meaning son of my sorrow. But Jacob renames him to Benjamin, meaning son of the right hand. This moment is deeply emotional. It shows both grief and hope at the same time. Loss is very real, yet Jacob refuses to let sorrow define the future. Even in pain, there is a forward-looking perspective shaped by faith. In verses 19 and 20, Rachel is buried on the way to Ephrath, which is Bethel. Jacob sets a pillar over a grave. This marks a place of remembrance. God's people do not ignore grief. They definitely acknowledge it, remembering it, and yet continue walking forward. In verses 21 and 22, we read of Reuben's sin with Bilhah, his father's concubine. This brief but serious note reminds us that even in a family chosen by God, sin still has consequences. Actions carry weight. In this moment, will later affect Reuben's position in the family. Scripture does not hide failure, but records it truthfully. In verses 23 through 26, the 12 sons of Jacob are listed. This is important because it confirms the foundation of the 12 tribes of Israel. Despite the struggles and failures we have seen, God has established the family through which his covenant will continue. In verses 27 through 29, Jacob returns to his father Isaac. Isaac lives to a full age and then dies, and both Jacob and Esau come together to bury him. This is a quiet but meaningful moment. The brothers who were once divided are now reunited in honoring their father. It reflects a measure of restored relationship and closure. And this passage also teaches us that life often holds both joy and sorrow all at the same time. God's promises continue forward even through grief, loss, and failure. His faithfulness is not interrupted by the realities of life. And we can also see how this passage points us to Christ. Just as Benjamin is associated with sorrow and later strength, Christ is the man of sorrows who is now seated at the right hand of God. And through him, sorrow is not the end of the story. Glory and restoration follow. Today, if you're walking through a season of sorrow, a difficulty, remember that God's purposes are still moving forward. Acknowledge your grief, but do not let it define your future. Continue walking in faith, trusting that God is working even through the hardest moments of your life. God bless.